Just offer a very warm welcome. Father Gary Castle with us, the Vicar General of the Diocese and resident of our Holy Family Rectory. Great to have you back here, Father Castle, as always. Just a quick kind of word of business. The Diocese of Tulsa this weekend in our 78 parishes across the diocese. This is our weekend for the annual Faith and Works Appeal. This is our opportunity as parishioners, as members of the diocese to support the good work of Bishop Condrela, Father Castle, Deacon Garlick, Deacon Thomas, all the good stuff that's going on all around the diocese. So in your pews are envelopes. In the back of church are envelopes. You got a flock note yesterday, and many of you got a mailing a few weeks ago. Those are all opportunities to support financially the diocese. Our parish goal is $109,000. We're about halfway there, and we want to get there and exceed it and help our proper pastor, Bishop Condrela, and the good work of the diocese. So I'm grateful for your support. Send that in here in the next week or so. We'd love to have your help. We are, as of right now, 7 weeks from Easter. Hard to think about, perhaps, but especially joyous for the many, many, many in our parish who are preparing to receive the sacraments at Easter. 48 days from the Easter Vigil, 49 days from Easter Sunday. But in between that is the season of Lent. The season of Lent begins this Wednesday with what we call Ash Wednesday. On that day, the whole church is invited to come to Mass, and as usual, receive Holy Communion. We'll be offering confessions, but something very special happens on Ash Wednesday that doesn't happen any day of the year, and that is the faithful come forward. Anyone can receive ashes. Wherever you are in the state of the church, Catholic or not Catholic, anyone can come forward and receive ashes. When you walk up to the priest or the deacon or the minister, what they're going to do is dip their thumb in a bowl of ashes. And they're going to make a cross on your forehead. And they're going to say to you, "Remember, you are dust. And to dust you shall return." That's a thing we don't hear very often. I don't recommend saying that on a first date or at a job interview. You are dust. But we hear that when we come to Mass on Ash Wednesday. We could translate that to simply say, your life on this earth is going to come to an end someday. You are dust, and to dust you shall return. So it's a sobering message that the life that we are living now is not going to be this way forever. We're going to die. That's a tough thing to hear sometimes. Now, we've all experienced death in one way or another, family, friends, right? In the life of our parish, certainly. But it's a difficult thing to hear that you are dust, and to dust you shall return. But an important message. We hear in today's gospel also something you ought not say in polite company on a first date or in a job interview. You hypocrite. Right? Tough words to hear. Jesus to the crowd, Jesus to each of us. You hypocrite. In each one of us, there is a certain hypocrisy. We say one thing, we do another. We believe one thing, we do the opposite. There's a certain hypocrisy in us that needs cleansing, that needs healing. And so we come into the season of Lent, which is a time of conversion. Ultimately, it's a time to help us grow in our relationship with the Lord Jesus, to come to know him more deeply, so that 49 days from today, when you show up for Mass on Easter, we are celebrating the resurrection, and we are doing so with our spiritual lives in a better place than they were when those ashes got imposed on your forehead weeks before. So the season of Lent is about conversion. And so you and I can take certain actions, and the church actually recommends certain actions to make us less hypocritical, more deeply in love with the Lord Jesus. And we do those in 3 areas. We do them in the areas of prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. So let's take each one. In the life of prayer, beginning Ash Wednesday, or beginning today, we are invited to deepen our life of prayer. Whatever your life of prayer is right now, you are asked to step it up, to pray more, to pray better, to come to Mass more often, to go to confession, especially if it's been a while, to offer to the Lord one of the most precious gifts we have, which is the gift of our time, to go to the Lord in prayer more than we do right now. That's prayer. I'll skip fasting and come back to that. Let's talk almsgiving, right? It's simply the opportunity for you and I to be more generous than we are right now. That's certainly with our treasure, being generous to those who don't have what we have. But that also includes our time. That also includes kind of how we treat other people who we might not be generous towards. I think for some of us, our hypocrisy is we're super nice to everybody except the people we live with. We're super kind and we're super generous and put out a good front to the people at work and the people at school and the people in the neighborhood. But oftentimes with the people that we live with, that we love the most, our generosity is lacking. Lent is a time of alms giving of ourselves in generosity to those who are in need. Many of those people in need live with you and work with you and go to school with you. It's our chance to be generous. But in the area of fasting, Lent is often a time when we give things up. I would encourage you to do something difficult. Do something that you don't think you can do. Not to prove it to yourself, not to prove it to those around you, but to show the Lord how much we love him. Lord, I'm going to sacrifice this and I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to do it as a small sign of what you did for me on the cross all those years ago. I'm going to give up something difficult. I'm going to give up something that I eat every day. I'm not going to eat that for the season of Lent. I'm going to give up something that I drink every day for the season of Lent. I'm going to give up something that's getting in the way of my relationship with you. Now, just an aside, when we take on penances in the season of Lent, those penances are ours. Our penances are not meant to be imposed on those around us. So the best example I can give, every year people say, I'm giving up coffee. Now, if you want to give up coffee, more power to you. But if you, giving up coffee, makes you a terrible person, do not impose your penance on the people around you. Give up something difficult in the area of fasting. But that area can also include, fasting can also include those things that are holding us back from a deeper relationship with the Lord. So I want to ask you 2 questions. And just think of this in your own head right here, right now. What is something that is holding you back from a deeper relationship with the Lord? What is that? It might be a physical thing, your phone, your television, your job, something that's holding you back from spending more time with God. What's getting most in the way? Maybe you give that up for Lent. Maybe you give that up for the rest of your life. What's getting in the way of your relationship with God? What's getting in the way of you spending more time in prayer? What's getting in the way of you being at Mass more often? What's getting in the way of that? We can give that up for Lent. And then secondly, what's getting in the way of you having a deeper relationship with those in your life who are most important. With your spouse, with your children and grandchildren, with your nieces and nephews, with your friends. What's getting in the way of you having more time with them, of better conversations with them? What's getting in the way? Lent is a time of conversion. It's meant to bring about in us a better way of living, a better way of following the Lord Jesus. We heard in the gospel that a tree is known by its good fruit. We want to be known by our fruit. And what is that fruit? That fruit is a life of joy, a life of holiness, a life that radiates the love and the goodness of Jesus Christ out in the world. What's getting in the way of that? What's getting in the way of you and I producing such good fruit? Or rather, better said, Christ producing that good fruit in us so that others are attracted and brought into this beautiful way of life that we call the church. We want to bear good fruit, but stuff gets in the way. May this season of Lent be a time of conversion, be a time of bettering our relationship with the Lord. So that on Ash Wednesday, when that minister says, "You are dust," when you hear these words today, "You hypocrite," that when Easter rolls around, you and I will be in a better place, a better spiritual place, more in love with the Lord Jesus and the people we love.